The particular decision made by Carlos Alcaraz after winning the Australian Open that surprised his fans. The Spaniard caused a major stir following the departure of Juan Carlos Ferrero as his coach and continues shaping his trusted team. The start of 2026 was spectacular for Carlos Alcaraz. The Spanish tennis player defeated Novak Djokovic in the final of the Australian Open and claimed the first Grand Slam of the year. In this context, in recent hours he made an unexpected decision that surprised his fans and generated a strong reaction on social media. With the aim of continuing to improve his work team, the current world number one confirmed that his older brother, Álvaro, will be his coach at some tournaments during the 2026 season. Speaking to Diario Marca, he explained the reasons for his decision. At some events, my brother will be the only one traveling with me. It's clear that Samu, Lopez, will accompany me to the most important tournaments of the year and to 80% of everything I play, or more, but my brother will be alone with me at some, he stated. This news comes at a time of changes for Alcaraz following the unexpected departure of Juan Carlos Ferrero as his coach. The former tennis player was his historic coach and accompanied him from his first steps on the professional circuit. The split shook the tennis world and, although the reasons did not become public, the relationship did not appear to end on good terms. In fact, in recent hours, a major stir arose when it was revealed that Ferrero unfollowed Alcaraz on social media and could join the team of Italy's Jannik Sinner, the current world number 2. In this context, Álvaro Alcaraz is beginning to gain prominence. At 26 years old, he usually accompanies his brother on most trips and is considered a key emotional figure within the Merchants team. Beyond the changes in his coaching staff, the Spaniard's sporting present could not be better. With his triumph at the Australian Open, he became the youngest tennis player to complete all 4 Grand Slams. Jack Draper blames Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner for his serious injury. My body completely broke down. Jack Draper, currently world number 13, has put an end to an infernal period marked by physical injuries. The British player, who was enjoying one of the best moments of his tennis career, reaching 4th place in the rankings and even winning at Indian Wells, suffered a bone injury in his left arm that kept him off the courts, allegedly because of Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. The 24-year-old player was injured during the last Davis Cup against Norway and, from then on, entered a negative spiral in which he was barely able to compete during the rest of 2025. In 2026, he appears to have returned in great form and is ready to compete again against the best on the tour. In an interview with Press Association, Draper himself highlighted that his injury was caused by the high physical demands of trying to close the gap with Alcaraz and Sinner. That was my goal, and my body broke down. I was pushing myself so hard to play the right way and hit harder. And that just became stress for me. He also expressed his desire to return to top-level competition after the injury and reach the level of the current world numbers 1 and 2. I'm very hungry to get to where they are. I'll do everything possible to achieve it. I think I'm a better player now than when I was playing a lot and playing very well. Finally, Draper wished that no other tennis player would have to go through a situation similar to his. I wouldn't want any tennis player to go through this. I've learned a lot during this period. It has definitely helped me move forward and become a better player. You can get there with the right mindset, and looking at this injury, I think I've achieved that. Harsh response from a former world number 1 to Muratoglu. Alcaraz wouldn't exist without Nadal, Djokovic, and Federer. Andy Roddick explained how the careers of the 3 legends over the last decades have influenced the current generation, and specifically the player from Murcia. The comparison between Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner with the Big Three has sparked a lot of debate in recent days. Patrick Muratoglu's comments and Rafael Nadal's subsequent reaction ignited the discussion and, although both young players are undoubtedly on track to build historic careers in tennis, it still seems too early for comparisons with Novak Djokovic, Roger Federer, and the Mallorcan. At least that is the opinion of Andy Roddick, former ATP world number 1 in 2003, who stated that the comparison should not become something controversial. The former American tennis player argued that Alcaraz would not exist without Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic, whom the Merchant would have looked to in order to become the player he is today. He watched them. He absorbed them. He literally incorporated Novak's serve mechanics into his own. Each generation builds on the previous one. That's progress. That's evolution, Andy Roddick commented on the latest episode of the Serve podcast. These are the views of one of the greatest servers in tennis history. Roddick believes that the debate between the duo formed by Alcaraz and Sinner and the 3 legends of world sport is still somewhat forced, especially considering the indelible mark those legends have left on tennis. What is Carlos Alcaraz's next tournament? Date, time, and where to watch the ATP 500 Doha on TV and streaming? The ATP 500 Doha 2026 will be played in Qatar from February 16 to 21. Carlos Alcaraz's matches and the tournament can be watched on Movistar Plus and Tennis TV. Aware of the challenges involved in staying at the elite level, Alcaraz has declared on several occasions that his main priority is to take care of his physical and mental condition. For this reason, the selection of tournaments he plays has become increasingly meticulous. Now, after withdrawing from Rotterdam, the focus shifts to Doha and later to the major spring events, with the aim of maintaining his leadership and continuing to expand his trophy collection. The season is long and demanding, so calendar management and injury prevention are key for the player from El Palmar to remain a protagonist on the World Tour. Rafael Nadal recognizes Novak Djokovic as the greatest of all time after the Australian final. Spanish tennis player Rafael Nadal has publicly stated that Novak Djokovic is the greatest player in the history of the sport, based on the records accumulated by the Serbian over the last decades. The statement was made during a recent interview with the Spanish press, where the Mallorcan idol analyzed the trajectory of his main competitors and the impact of the titles won on the ATP World Circuit. Nadal emphasized that the statistical data are indisputable and that he has no reservations about admitting the numerical superiority of his former rival on the court. During the conversation with local journalists, Nadal detailed the reasons that lead him to place the Serbian in a position of isolation at the top of professional sport. He highlighted that longevity and physical endurance were determining factors that allowed Djokovic to surpass the Grand Slam title mark set by himself and Roger Federer. Nadal's analysis takes into account not only Djokovic's refined technique but also the emotional and physical recovery capacity that the current world number 3 has demonstrated at crucial moments in his career. Rafael Nadal explained that Novak Djokovic's body allowed a level of consistency that he himself could not maintain due to the successive injuries he faced from the beginning of his professional career. The Spaniard recalled that he was absent from several important tournaments because of physical problems, while the Serbian maintained a more preserved and efficient athletic structure for prolonged high performance. According to Nadal, this physical availability is a sporting merit that must be considered when evaluating who achieved the best historical results. The ability to deal with frustration was also a key point mentioned by the 14-time Roland Garros champion when describing Djokovic's behavior. Nadal observed that the Serbian can process defeats and mistakes extremely quickly, returning to compete at the highest level almost instantly after a setback. For the Spaniard, this mental strength, combined with superior physical condition, explains why Djokovic managed to establish himself as the greatest winner of Grand Slam tournaments to date. Novak Djokovic is currently pursuing his 25th title. Although the Serbian's last major title came in 2023, his presence in the final stages remains a constant on the tour, even with the rise of young talents. Nadal recognizes that maintaining this level of competitiveness at the age of 38 is an uncommon feat that deserves to be celebrated by sports fans worldwide. The numbers cited by Nadal include not only Grand Slam titles, but also the record number of titles achieved by the Serbian, reinforcing that Nadal never allowed his ego to prevent him from acknowledging the reality presented by official tennis statistics. For him, the discussion about the greatest of all time finds an objective answer when analyzing the trophy cabinet and the consistency displayed by the Serbian over 2 decades. The rivalry between Nadal and Djokovic is considered one of the most intense in sports history, with more than 60 matches played on different surfaces. While the Spaniard dominated clay like no one before, the Serbian demonstrated a versatility that allowed him to win repeatedly on all surfaces, from the grass of Wimbledon to hard courts. This versatility is one of the pillars supporting Nadal's argument about the supremacy of his professional colleague, who continues to challenge new generations. Djokovic's technical evolution over the years was also indirectly highlighted through the observations of his main opponent. The Serbian knew how to adapt his game to minimize physical wear, improving his serve and efficiency in short points to compensate for his advanced age. This tactical intelligence is seen by analysts and by Nadal himself as the key to continuing to compete in finals against much younger players, such as Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. Nadal's declared support for Alcaraz in last Sunday's final reflects the national connection between the two Spaniards, but it does not change his technical perception of the Serbian rival. The veteran highlighted that seeing young compatriots win is gratifying, but respect for Djokovic's career remains unshakable. The tour now watches how the Serbian will respond to this new pressure from younger players, who seek to regain momentum to achieve success in the upcoming clay and grass tournament scheduled for this year. Rafael Nadal ended his professional career after the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, leaving behind a legacy of 22 Grand Slam titles and an Olympic gold medal.